It's Chatter on Books, and if you think this introduction is boring, you try writing the copy. I'm Jamie McIntyre. Here's Torie Clark.
Okay, the more I started getting ready for this show, welcome back to Chatter, people, the more intimidated I got. Because in a little while here, we're going to be talking to Thomas Mallon, who is he's a literary icon. Right, Lou? He's an icon.
Oh, yeah.
The more I read...
He's the real deal. Yeah.
I kind of went, probably should not have signed this one. I mean, we can't spell literary on Chatter, much less actually really understand it. He has done so many things, but the two we're going to try to tackle, Lulu has tackled one of them, a book of one's own, people in their diaries, fascinating, diverse collection of people and giving commentary in their diaries, and then his own, the very heart of it, New York Diaries, 1983, 1994. Scarily, every place he mentioned in that time frame, I thought to myself, oh my God, my sisters and I were there that night. Oh my God.
Wow.
Every party, every scene, we were there.
Look at you, Torie. Look at you.
Yeah,
no, Torie's got another life she doesn't talk very much about.
It was decades ago, Lou. But as David knows, I had
what happened in Studio 54 stays.
Yeah, it kind of didn't. Four older sisters. Two of them lived in New York. One of whom, rest in peace. Both of them beautiful, stunning. And we never stood in line ever. We never paid a cover charge.
So how did you manage that?
They were really good looking. And
Torie, you say that like you were a dachshund or something.
Yeah, well,
pretty sure you were good looking back in the days.
It's all relative.
You more than held your own.
It's all relative, David. But I did hold my own in this the competition when we would go clubbing was who can, I don't know what I don't want to, today they would say hook up. Who was the best looking, who could get the best looking guy in the bar or the club? And it was a competition. And
so we're assuming these were straight guys that you were.
Didn't matter. Didn't matter. Just you had to acquire, and it wasn't like Tom Cruise in Top Gun where you just sing a song and buy the person a drink. Yeah. One had evidence. One had to leave the premises with the person.
Oh wow,
man, Lou, I went through my entire 20s and had nothing resembling this. Like whatsoever.
Okay. I have a little housekeeping before we get into some things here. Patty Tatum, I probably shouldn't have used her last name. Longtime listener, wonderful person, usually lives overseas, but was recently in the States. And she sent me an email, David, because she heard us talking about when I'm in a bookstore and I see your book, I turn it so it's face out. Because
very nice of you, thank you.
You don't want if it's just the spine hard to see. You put it face out, it increases the likelihood. So Patty was in a bookstore in the United States, and she did that. And so I want to encourage all listeners, wherever they are, if you see David's books, Lou's books, and you see them, look for them. It's fun to go look
plural,
for them.
David's book, singular.
Turn them.
And you turn them so they're face out. It makes a big difference.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
It does mean that usually some other author has to be unturned.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Survival of the fittest. Survival of the fittest.
Okay, can I tell you the book?
David stands out well because of the orange color.
It's orange. That was very, very smart by the publishers to say we should do it in orange. First, I didn't like it, but then it was really smart, actually.
Was it just because it was a bright color or because it was a color for basketball?
Because the basketballs are orange.
Yeah. There you go.
That makes sense. A book about basketball, orange. It makes it stand out.
There you go.
Right, Lou, I want to do a book on Xenon, the club in New York. Not Studio 54, because everybody's done Studio 54.
Yeah.
I want to do Xenon. That's the book I want.
Not like Warrior Princess Xenon, different.
No, not that.
Yeah.
No, the club.
What about Limelight? Limelight was a good one.
Limelight was good. But see, I want to do the club that people don't remember and there haven't been songs written about it.
There you go. Okay,
I just remember Xenon because it was of its spelling, and I didn't know at the time that Xenon was a.
Xenon. Sorry. Yeah.
Thought that was interesting.
DC used to have, I don't think they do anymore, but they used to have some pretty cool clubs. Yeah. There was one down on Half Street, which I vaguely threw a haze.
Oh, here?
Yeah, in DC.
Oh, Tracks you're thinking about. I know what
is that what it was?
Oh, yeah. Tracks, yeah.
That was good. You take your life in your hands getting there.
The gay bar. The gay bar.
Yes, the gay club and down the south. Well, where is now 2 blocks from that bar.
I know, right? Isn't that funny, David? Yeah.
Yes, but there was see, Lou, it was different for straight people. There was one night where it was straight night at tracks and you would go, but
Right.
But guys were very confused. The guys got very intimidated because they couldn't remember which night it was.
Didn't they have a volleyball court? I swear they had a volleyball court in the back. Yeah.
You swear what, Lou?
There was a volleyball court, I'm pretty sure, in the back of tracks.
Oh,
there was sand and
yeah. But combining all these themes, I think maybe the first times I was at track, friend Thomas, dancing with Thomas, great dancer, gay guy, and it was his favorite joke. Why did God invent gay men? To dance with straight women. It's so true.
Somebody has to. Somebody has to suck that up. Suck it up.
Take one for the team. Come on.
Okay. Lou, pale blue eye. So my friend Keith seeks me out at a party recently and says, years ago, you did a book party or something at your house with this guy. And, anyways, he watched the movie Pale Blue Eye and loved it.
Oh.
Absolutely loved it. Yeah. When's the last time you've watched it?
Since it came out, I think. But I watched it multiple times because I was invited to different kind of events around it. Friends had watch parties and stuff like that. So I got a good fill of it at the time. But
I watched it again after Keith was saying this. It really holds up well.
Oh, good.
Christian Bale, crazy as a loon, but really good.
Actually, in person, he was quite professional and normal. So
was he nice? Because he doesn't seem nice.
I would say professional.
Who's the guy that's not? The guy that was in Star Wars also has a reputation, right? The new Star Wars, the latest.
Which one?
The one that played he played Darth Vader's grandson and was the villain for the last 3 Star Wars movies. What's his name?
Hayden Christensen?
No. He was Darth Vader. This guy played Darth Vader's grandson, and it was with the young lady, and they wound up together, and then he died, and then it was the thing. But he's supposed to be Adam Driver is his name. He's supposed to be a very tough guy to work with. And
he got crosswise
with method thing. It's that method actor thing.
That's right.
Yeah, and he got crosswise with Lena Dunham, which I think was probably a really bad career move.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yes. I'm not going to read her autobiography, but evidently she takes him to task a few times.
If you don't write about going clubbing with your sisters in the 80s, I swear to God, we can't be friends.
Right? I think this is
so great. So great. One of them's still alive. Can't do it while people are alive. Okay, now here's the book I want somebody to write. And I think this is right up Lou's alley or David, because you're a local. So there's one block of N Street in Georgetown. I won't say how I know this block, but there's one block on N Street in Georgetown. And kind of starting at one end, John Cox, who was the mayor of Georgetown, late 1700s, early 1800s for 40 plus years.
Back when it was a separate town.
Yeah, when it was a separate thing. And it was a bustling little hub, and they had ships coming into the harbor. And he truly did entertain Lafayette, among others. So he was a real deal. You go to a few houses down. Some knuckleheads lived in the house, no big deal. But there's a great rumor of Lincoln coming to one of these houses to participate in a seance. We know Mary Todd Lincoln did seances, but he told her at the time, because she was crazy, you can't do this at the White House. So she would go to different places. And there were these women. Their name, they were called the Witches of Georgetown, the Lurie sisters, I believe. But it was a legit thing. Like, it was legit to do seances. And the rumor is that he was so distraught over the loss of their son, Todd, I believe it was, that at some point he finally said, okay, I'll do this. So he did a seance, but it was in one of the houses on this block.
On N Street.
Yep. Then another house is where JFK and Jackie lived when he was running for president, and it's the house from which they left to go to get sworn in. Mm-hmm. Another house, two or three doors down, was a hospital during the Civil War. And then in between those two was a house where JFK's girlfriend that got shot and killed in Georgetown lived.
Oh, gosh.
Mary Pinchot, right? Wasn't that it? Wasn't the last name? Meyer. Pinchot. Yeah, Mary Pinchot Meyer. Yeah. But it's all within about 6 houses.
Wow. I did not know
that.
Just call it N Street.
That's an interesting
N Street.
N Street. That's all you need.
We don't even need Northwest, just N Street.
No, just N Street. Everybody would know.
Yeah.
Just N Street. Okay, one little housekeeping thing on the pitch, and then we could talk about David's text to me about Iowa City. So all our nominations for the pitch, our writing competition, are in. They are coast to coast, mid-Atlantic, Northeast, flyover country, really, really interesting, diverse group of books and authors, really, really interesting people too, which was great. And so what we're doing is winnowing down that list to about 3. And then this fall, we've got 2 or 3 really, really interesting judges set up, and we're going to announce the winner in the fall, who will get $5,000. Lou, you were one of the first people who talked to me. I think the promise was if I didn't ask you to be a judge, you would give us lots of good advice about a competition. How often have you been a judge? I don't know if I did the
good advice part, but yes,
you did. How often have you been a judge, and how terrible is it?
It depends. So I'm a slow reader, so the idea of reading like 500 novels is terrifying to me.
Yeah.
But I was once a judge for the Edgar Awards for short story, and that was just perfect because I could just kind of
lovely.
Yeah.
Did anybody ever give you any grief for it? Or try to bribe you?
Yes. Yes. Somebody I know was it isn't grief. At the Edgar Awards, there were 5 finalists, and the one person I knew didn't win. And he maintained it was because that we were friends and that I had somehow kept him from winning. It's like, that's not how it worked in the process. Anyway, it was a small little undertone. But
Ron Charles was the one who gave me the best. He goes, same thing. He goes, don't ask me to do it, but you have to have an odd number of judges.
Yes.
Have to have an odd number of judges. Yeah. And he really suggested winnow it way down because you just cannot expect that anybody is going to read 10, 15, 20 books. Yeah. But Sarah Jessica Parker was a judge for one of the big competitions.
For the Booker.
Was it the Booker?
Yeah.
And she had to read a ton of books.
So she says.
Yeah.
I think she did. I think she got completely obsessed with the whole thing and abandoned her family.
I mean, that's a lot of reading. Wow.
That's a lot of reading. Yeah.
And how do you even start to distinguish one from the other?
Well, I will say that I talked to a Penn Faulkner judge who will not be named, but she said she basically finds some random page in the middle of the book. Before she even starts reading anything, she finds a random page. I think she had it like demarcated like 121, 179, page 79. Yeah. She read that page, and if it was interesting to her, then she would start back at the beginning and keep reading. But if it wasn't interesting
to her, that's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
I know. I just think that I see that survival just kind of, we can't. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Iowa City, David. How did it come across your radar screen? This is the city where everyone's writing a book. Iowa City, Iowa.
It's not new because we've talked about Iowa.
We've had Iowa Writers Workshop people. Yeah.
So I wasn't shocked when I saw it, but I thought it was interesting that so many people were writing books living there. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. There was one today, I think in the New York Times, about Key West. And how Hemingway and all these people in the that's, and they're trying to preserve it as a place where people still do come and write. It's getting so expensive. It's so touristy and so expensive, but it's a place where people will still come and write. So Lou, I don't know if we've ever done this with you before. What's the ideal writing experience for you? Iowa City, Key West.
Oh gosh. Well, Key West is pretty great, but you get all those tourists coming in with their huge ships coming through. Yeah, so it's a little noisy, but my favorite, I go to Peregrine Espresso 2 blocks from my house on Capitol Hill, and I sit there and just kind of type in my laptop in my lap, which is very, very surprising to people. And then, I like a little bit of white noise.
You and David.
Yeah.
David.
You're the same?
Same. Yeah. Got to have some TV on usually.
I think it's the newsroom thing, David. I mean, I was trained in journalism, so I got used to having noise around me, so it feels weird when I'm in my own house and
that's right.
Saying anything. Even the cats are sleeping, so it's just gonna.
I can't write, so I don't write. But nothing would drive me battier. I mean, personally, I'm just kind of sensitive to noise. But you go into those coffee places, and they're always banging on things. You ever notice that? It's always like somebody's making.
I don't notice it. That's the key.
Drink.
That's the key. Is that I don't.
Wow.
My job required me to write in very loud places, like arenas that were full.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good point.
So I got used to it.
Lou, how long will you stay there?
A couple hours. Then go back. Yeah.
David, do you go to noisy coffee places now, or is it just the sports arenas that you're in?
No, I mean, I don't. I mean, I've gone to some coffee places. I'm not as used to it. I need to get used to it. I could probably do it, but I'm not used to it yet. And so it's not the noise that bothers me. It's just the unfamiliarity. And I always think like I have to order more food or they're going to get angry with me for being here. So I can't just have like a cup of coffee for 6 hours. They'll get angry if I just sit there, take
for
a
1 hour. Cup of coffee for 1 hour, and then you get
oh my God.
for
and
2.
I'm jittery like I'm like a ferret. I'm just like bouncing all over the place.
I had to go on, speaking of jittery like a ferret, recently. So for some reason, twice in the last few months, I've been plagued with really bad cases of poison ivy, just raging poison ivy. It's so bad that I had to go to my doctor. He's a great guy. I love my doctor. And he goes, okay, we're going to put you on prednisone. He goes, but I want you to take this first thing in the morning, and because it is going to light you up like you've never been lit up. I'm like, yeah, right. My house I took this stuff the next morning. My house has never been so clean. The dog was groomed. The car was, it's insane. Has anybody ever been on that?
Yeah, I've taken
prednisone.
Yeah.
I have, but it never made me clean.
I didn't clean.
Yeah,
it's a fairly common anti-inflammatory.
Yeah.
Wow, it worked, which is spectacular. But man, I just thought, I have a very addictive personality to start with, and I thought I do not need to be doing this in a regular basis. It was crazy.
Leaving other people's houses. You just went next door.
Could have.
I was going to say, you could come over to my house anytime, Torie. Just come over.
I like to clean. You see the results of your work. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah.
Okay, Dave, Lauren and I were talking before you joined. For the last couple of days, I started watching about Commaders training camp. And then I just said, I've got to stop myself. Okay. Because it is like Charlie Brown, the football, every year. Yeah. And here are those cute fans going out to training camp and they're wearing their little outfits and like, this is it. This is the big year. We're going to do it. It's not true, is it?
I will just, no. I mean, everybody's into it's the NFL. Anybody can win in any given year. And the Commanders are one of the 32 teams, so they can win too. They could not win, but it's football. So there's a lot more variety to who does well in a given football season. It doesn't really, it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't relate.
It is, I will just say this. Reporters are fascinated by people who show up at 7 a.m. on a Saturday to go watch a team practice.
5:30. They were already lined up. So great.
We are fascinated by them because we have to be there to cover the team. It's our job. Like
they're crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Chatter on sports.
I mean, they're all in, boy. I tell you, they're all in.
All right, Chatter on Sports is over. Thomas Mallon, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. Are you okay with headphones on?
Absolutely. It looks very sporty.
I'll hear at least every other word then.
Cool.
Yeah, we hear one of every third. Okay, Thomas Mallon, I know you know Lou. You know Louis Bayard?
I do.
A bit.
Have you ever met David Aldrich or Lauren Larson before?
No. Nice to meet you.
Hello. Okay. Good to meet you.
David, partner in crime. Lauren, sometime partner in crime, who does the important work, as we say around here, actually making this podcast work. David and I could go away. You'd be just fine. Thank you so much for joining us. It is, we were saying before you joined, the last few weeks, getting ready for the show, I was reading more and more. I knew of you, of course, but I started reading more and more. And then I thought, oh, man, we probably shouldn't have signed him up. You're like the real deal. Like
that can mean so many things.
It can mean, okay, here's what it means. And I'm going to have Lou jump in here and help introduce you to that rare person who may not know you. But when I can't figure things out, I, of course, Google it. So I looked up consummate writer. And Lou, listen to these things. This is what it says a consummate writer is. And you can say if this applies to Thomas Mallon. Core traits of a consummate writer. Total mastery. They know grammar, structure, and style so well that the rules feel natural and fluid. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, he hesitated.
I didn't. I didn't know you were talking to me. But yes.
Okay, second one. Deep polish. Every single word has a clear purpose. Nothing feels lazy or out of place.
Yes.
Okay. Complete control. They can shift tone, voice, and rhythm to fit any story or idea they want to share.
I'm still doing this. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's not a willing participant, Tom. I thought you guys were friends.
Well, Tom, he gets a lot of praise.
Yeah. Too much? Are you?
No, never too
little,
much. Never too much. Never too much. But.
Okay. What's your meet cute story? How do you guys get to know each other? Your pals? You both have 202 area codes.
So you can correct me, Tom. I think we were in a panel together. I want to say like the Bethesda Literary Festival or
oh yes,
something like that.
I think that's probably right. And then I hired him.
You did.
I ran the creative writing program at GW for several years, and Lou was my number one go-to part-time person to exploit, and he was a crackerjack teacher, and we paid him a ludicrously small amount because that's what everybody got.
Faculty, yeah.
But adjunct salary goes along with adjunct.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we were colleagues, and then we've seen each other as friends, and have a lot of friends in common that we were in the program with.
There you go. My friend Lorraine Voles, who worked at GW for many years, said to say hi to you. She goes, he won't remember me. And
Okay.
I said, okay, but I'll try it anyhow. Okay. So speaking of education, Tom Mallon, your upbringing in education seemed very traditional in many ways. A little East Coast elitist, right? Brown, Harvard. And then there's a West Texas spurt. How did West Texas come about?
Well, it looks like I have this very kind of establishment pedigree. But, neither of my parents finished high school. And so I was leaping into a very strange world. I mean, my mother eventually finished high school at night. I helped her with her history homework, and when I was like 11. And, so then I had one of these wonderful high school English teachers who had gone to Brown, which I had never even heard of. And he insisted that I was going to go to Brown. And I had no clue as to how to even apply to college. And but there I suddenly was, and then had 5 long, not nearly as happy as the 4 years at Brown at Harvard. And then it was 1978 when I finished my PhD. There were no jobs around. That's probably an overstatement compared to today, when there are literally no jobs around. It's like in New York, people, when they used to show up late to a dinner, they would say, "I'm sorry, I'm late. There were no cabs," meaning there were no free cabs. Now they mean there were literally no cabs on the street, unless they called Uber. But there were no jobs, and so I got this visiting assistant professor job, 1 to 3 years at Texas Tech in Lubbock, and there were so few jobs that Tom Derrick, classmate of mine at Harvard, I remember him coming up to me in Harvard Square and giving me this big hug and saying, "You got the Lubbock job, way to go," and I was a complete fish out of water, and I made lifelong friends there. I have been back repeatedly over the years. I was there in February for a reunion with friends. The organizer called me. She said, "Do you think you could come next week?" She said, "I checked with this little circle of surviving, like 6 people." She says, "And it's the only, I know it's short notice, but it's the only week in the next 6 months when no one has a medical appointment." So, so we did it. And so that was Lubbock.
How did it affect your writing? Because I bet, had you been west of the Mississippi before you went there?
Yes, I'd been to Disneyland in the 70s. And it affected my writing mostly by leaving me completely unable to do any of it, because my teaching load was 4-3. I had the first semester I was there, I had 125 students, and 3 of them were in composition classes. So one of them met at 7:30 in the morning. The sun had not even come up. So, but I think it was very good for me. I'm a lifelong diarist, so I was keeping my diary and issuing all these cris de coeur into it. But I was really there only 1 year, and then I had a long stretch at Vassar where I was a tenured professor, and then, but really there, wanted to get out almost from the time I was there. I wanted to write, and it took me quite a number of years to do that.
Yeah. Okay. I said we're trying to tackle 2 books today. Olivia, thank you for getting time on the show. A book of one's own, People in Their Diaries, fascinating collection, incredibly diverse collection of people, commentary in their diaries, and your own, the very heart of it, New York Diaries 83 to 94, both just insane. But you have this incredibly diverse collection of work, fiction, nonfiction. Was it you or somebody described some of your fiction as Republican catastrophes? Watergate, finale.
Watergate, and then Landfall is George W.
Hilarious. Yes. Landfall was just, I remember reading that at the time, and I worked for 41, and I remember going, well, this is for real. This isn't why this, whatever.
No.
Commentary, great piece on New Yorker recently about the Mary Todd Lincoln book by Lois Romano. What drives you to a certain type of writing at different times? When were you inspired to do fiction? When you were inspired to do nonfiction? Commentary, I guess, is they come to you and say, please write a review of X, Y, and Z book. But what's the inspiration for the different vehicles for you?
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I don't think I could possibly write fiction 8 hours a day. I mean, even when I've had a grant or something, it's what a novelist always tells himself. I just want to write, novels. But I broke into literary life, like, real getting paid for writing literary life, working at Condé Nast, places like that, mostly by writing nonfiction and editing fiction, whatever. I think the fact that most of my fiction has involved history shows that I have the sensibility in a lot of ways of a fact writer. I have written a lot of nonfiction criticism and also short pieces that are historical in nature, whatever. So I think I can't see myself straying too far into, pure fiction, meaning fiction made completely out of whole cloth. I like to have a real time to work with. The historical fiction I've written, it's not alternative history. In Landfall, Kerry doesn't win the election. I don't overturn things that actually happen. I just sort of insert things into the real things. So I think it's a double sensibility.
Yeah. Somebody had a great line, which I've completely stolen, which is we write fiction sometimes so we can tell the truth. But Lou, first question to you, and then David. Lou, yours, historical fiction gives you enough freedom? And what's the inspiration, or what do you find compelling about that? And then David, Mr. Nonfiction, covering real stuff. Are you ever tempted? So you're covering some incredible sports icon or some incredible sporting event. Are you ever tempted, because you're such a beautiful writer, are you ever tempted to go, I could make this better? But Lou first.
Well, I think Tom may agree with me, although I don't know, but I think the historical novelist goes in where the historical record falls silent. So we get to imagine our way into these rooms, these closed doors, behind these closed doors, and figure out what was going on. And that to me is the joy and privilege of it. But like Tom, I'm always drawn back into the past because there are anchors. We have these coordinates of fact.
And you both do incredible research, tons of research. By the way, have you ever heard Tom? Do you know why Kerry lost? David's heard the story. It's a true story. So
windsurfing.
Nope. 2008. No. It's like there's a connection to sports thing. And David, I'm coming back to you. It was in 2008, right? He was running? Was it 2004? So very good friend of ours, David Castagnetti, was his head for the campaign for congressional relations. And David and his wife Ann, dear friends of ours. It's early October, and they were over at our house for dinner with a bunch of friends. And the most important thing going on at the time was not the Kerry campaign, was that the Boston Red Sox were finally headed to a really, really wonderful outcome, but they hadn't been there yet. David, born and raised in Boston, his wife, born and raised in Boston, and the curse and everything. And we're at dinner, and there was probably too much wine going around. And I said to David, okay, the devil's in the room, and you get a choice. Either John Kerry can get elected president, or the Red Sox can win the World Series. Before I have ever finished the sentence, David goes, Red Sox win the World Series. So that's why it happened. Okay, David, are you ever tempted?
No, no. I mean, when I say that, I just mean I don't. I'm not. What Thomas and Lou do is an incredible skill set that I don't have.
Yeah.
I'm all in on one or the other. Like I think about I think about writing fiction, and it would just be straight fiction. It would because we all have we write about what we know, and it's a cliche, but it's the truth. So I mean, I think about things that I could write about, but I was a history major, so I'm always wondering why they don't just tell the actual story of what actually happened, because it's usually really fascinating. And I don't know why everything has to be adapted for the screen or anything like that. Like the actual story is really good. Just tell the actual story.
And I always think literally millions of people watch David, read David, absorb David, and they all think they're experts, right? The amount of incoming you must get is insane.
Everybody does. I think we're in an era where everyone thinks they're an expert because they can publish themselves, and that's what happens. And
the damn thing.
You have to deal with that and just shrug and go, okay.
Yeah. And say I had my 15 minutes. Okay. So Lou, I'll hold up Lulu. There we go. There's Lulu. And Lou and Tom, I don't know if you know this, but Lulu hangs out with me a lot, and if she likes a book, she chews on it. So
I thought that was a term of endearment for Lou. That I had never heard. I didn't know anybody called
It's
him
not
Lou.
an accident. That's why we named her that. So she seemed to have liked A Book of One's Own better. I personally liked
it's shorter.
The very heart of it. That's it. One of the things that struck me is not just the diversity of these famous people and your commentary on them, but the way you wrote about them. In A Book of One's Own, here's a line. I don't know if you remember this, but it was great. You said this about Evelyn Waugh. Quote, Waugh is so often drunk in the 20s that one doesn't so much read his diaries as marinate in them. That's a great line.
Well, did
it just come to you? I'm fascinated with the process. Did it just come to you?
I guess, yeah.
Work on that?
I can't remember because this book is 42 years old.
It holds up very well.
It was just reissued, and I recorded the audiobook for it, and I would occasionally cringe as I was recording because to me it's still very much a young man's book. I was writing this book. I wrote that book between the ages of 29 and 32, and there's a certain kind of notice me, please. I
was going to ask if you want to rewrite it.
Yes, the book really set me on my way. That was the book that really it led me out of academe, got me a lot of literary journalism. It was the first kind of relationship I had with the New Yorker when they reviewed it, and it was one of the things that was very helpful to me in writing it, because it is sort of quick takes on people. It's like 1,500 words, sometimes about very extensive diaries. And as I was writing it, I was already reviewing a lot of books. I used to review books for William F. Buckley's magazine, National Review. You can imagine how popular that made me at Vassar. Yet it was extremely good discipline, because instead of academic journals where you can take a lot of time and a lot of space, I would get assignments and they would be 800 words. And 800 words meant filing between 775 and 825. It was serious. And it forced me into being a more concise writer and also a more slightly smart alecky writer. Yeah.
Do you remember what you got paid? How much did William F. Buckley pay you?
It was usually about $100 a review, maybe, but he used to put little notes inside. He used to, you would get they would cut you a regular check, and it would come in the mail, and there would be a little note on the pay stub a little card with the pay stub, and it would say like "Nice going, WFB," something like that. And
pretty good.
There was one time
$100 for 800 words. Oh my gosh!
I did give a good review, a really good review, one time to his arch enemy Gore Vidal, who I thought was a wonderful essayist, and he wound up being somebody I edited when I was at GQ at Condé Nast, and I gave a good review. And I thought, well, this will be the last time they asked me to do anything. It wasn't, but and they ran it, but there was no note in the big packet that time. But that was a very good experience.
Yeah. No, okay. So I'm just curious about this. I'm sure you saw whatever that was with Fauci on the Hill the other day. And I'm just fascinated that the guy kept the diary and he's writing all this stuff contemporaneously.
Yeah.
And so I wonder, you have such a history with diaries.
Great question, David.
Do people tell the truth about themselves in diaries, or are they the hero of their own heroine of their own story in diaries?
They often tell the truth. And I would say they sometimes even tell nothing but the truth, but they never tell the whole truth. It's selective. And when I published The Very Heart of It, the new book of my own diaries, I didn't change anything except, an obvious slip of the pen, the equivalent of a typo in ink. But I cut plenty. There are lots of ellipses in there where I couldn't bear sort of publishing.
Sure.
There's a lot that embarrasses me in there. To tell you the truth, I didn't think the Fauci's, I didn't think the diaries were that horrible. I mean, okay, he's starstruck. I can't believe how famous I am. Okay. I butt dialed Barbara Streisand. Who wouldn't get a kick out of that? And
I was so hoping this would not come up today. Any reason? So,
but I saw a little bit of those hearings, and as those diaries, a lot of those diaries are about being a gay man in New York in the late 80s and early 90s. Yes, and as such, you will never hear a bad word out of me about Anthony Fauci. He was one of the people that gave people hope, let people hang on, listen to people, let people scream at him. I still think he's a heroic figure.
Worked with several presidents on really deep, meaningful, hugely impactful changes, and was doing incredibly good work on COVID. Here's my problem, and this is just somebody who worked in the government for years and years and years. Mm-hmm. He was a really important person doing really important work. Somehow, he had time every day.
He's a very disciplined writer, Tor.
Drives me crazy. Okay,
right, Tom does it the next morning usually, right?
Yes.
That's right. Yeah.
You were the diarist of all diarists. Been doing it for 50 years. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. You talk about sometimes leaving things out. Do you think most people who keep diaries believe someone else will read it someday?
Yes.
Even if they say,
definitely. That's sort of a thesis of the other book, the little book, A Book of One's Own, that no one ever kept a diary just for himself. That you may not have a particular audience in mind. You may just have this very vague sense that somebody may discover this in an attic 100 years from now. But I think that I do think, and when A Book of One's Own came out, there were a lot of people who disputed that and said, no, surely some people just want to keep these to reread themselves. But I just don't really see that. I think that you're counting on an audience, and certainly the explosion of the things that followed diaries, blogs, Instagram, tweets, all the rest. The desire for communication is so loud and crushing inside people.
Do you remember from A Book of One's Own in the epilogue about the Pioneer 10? Do you remember that?
Yes, I remember writing that.
Okay, so we say all the time on the show, read preambles, read epilogues. Sometimes it's the absolute best thing. So Pioneer 10 was a satellite? It was some kind of space rocket that was...
It was a space probe, an unmanned space probe.
And it was only supposed to be up for 20 months or something. It ends up being there forever. But you write about it in the epilogue, and you're talking about the Pioneer 10, and you're saying, what are you but a last fragile diary? I am. That's, again, another great line. But that just speaks to the importance of diaries And do you think we're losing that now? Because I think so many people now, I mean, politicians are the worst ones, but they write diaries, they write autobiographies. No, this is about the image I want people to have of me. So do you think we're losing some reality now these days?
I think, yeah, to a certain extent, because diaries, they have gotten so public. I mean, I think, the proportion of things like public blogs, Instagram feeds, all of the rest. I don't think people have always been ambitious. They've always been lustful. They've always had all of the things that drove them. But I don't think people thought so consciously of having a brand before now. I think that's distorting personality a lot. And you find people using that phrase unblushingly now about themselves. They don't even cringe a little when they say it, but that's my brand.
Yeah. Oh, hate it. Okay, the very heart of it. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Lived many of the places where you were in New York in those years, which is pretty scary. Geography was very important to you. Talking late 70s, 80s, where you lived seemed to be as important to you and your writing as what you were actually doing. Does that make sense? You loved moving into that apartment you've been at
I love
for a long time.
New York. I had this tiny little apartment that was near enough to Grand Central so that I could get on the train to go to Vassar because I was still extracting myself kind of gradually from it. It was this rickety walk up, and it had mice and everything else. It's the apartment. You can see the building right behind that scene in The Lost Weekend, which was all filmed on location with Ray Milland when he's looking into the liquor store when it's closed for a holiday, and you can see my first apartment building in the reflection of the window. But I loved Manhattan. I was sort of living my 20s and my 30s, and it was as if I had just come there right out of college rather than come there out of being a college professor, at 32. Yeah. And a number of times in the diaries, I didn't, until I reread them, I didn't remember this, but I would refer to Manhattan as a game board. It reminded me of, a children's game board, and you would plot your next move, whatever. And I was ambitious, and I was making up for all kinds of lost time in every way, romantically and otherwise. And it just, I just had this sense of being in the game, and it was a place game. It was being there that governed things.
It's a great coming of age story, but there's just a reality to it. There was a closeness. I just felt like I knew exactly what your apartment was like and all the places you're going, things you were doing. And there were when I was reading them, Tom, the two driving things: the AIDS epidemic, which is just this huge, horrible cloud presence in so many people's lives, but then the excitement. The literary world was a real deal. And there were parties and there were salons and all those things. And there was so much going on. There was so much going on in terms of your career starting to really take off. How much do you think those two things shaped you as a person and a writer? Do you think you would have evolved differently as a writer, for instance, if the AIDS epidemic hadn't been going on at the time?
Somewhat. I think that's true. I think I hid from it in my writing a lot. I mean, I was keeping those diaries, but I was not somebody I wasn't putting AIDS into fiction. I wasn't, I found my way to it by going back to the diaries. But I think that the literary culture was so fat and happy. There was so much money around. You got into any level of publishing, and you could go to a party every other night and you would meet people. And you just made all of these connections. Books were reviewed constantly, and widely. I have to say that one I'll be 75 in a few months. And one thing I noticed going through conversations with writers of my generation is we're so glad we're not young, because it was never hard.
Just froze.
It, it was never easy to start a literary career, but I don't know what I would do if I were 30 years old today. I was God, I was out all the time, but I had energy to burn. I was young.
There we go.
But it was, I mean, it was such a way. I'm sorry, somebody else.
No.
It was such a way of life. I was in Manhattan. Last year, I was going to a party that Robert Caro, whom I've known for a number of years, was hosting for somebody else. And it was I think it was at the Century Club, whatever. And I was just up for a visit in New York. I live in Washington. But I was crossing Fifth Avenue right to go to the Century Club. And here I am at like 73 or 74. I felt myself reaching for my wallet. And it was this atavistic thing from when I was like 32. Did I bring my business cards with me?
Wow.
And I'm not looking for work anymore. I can barely do the work that I've done for, but it was so much a part of me. I was so much this literary striver, and it was a great world in which to be that. There were lots of opportunities.
There's so many people I would like to ask you about in your diaries, but tell us about Tom Curley.
Tom Curley was somebody I was briefly and very much in love with. And Tom, he was the handsomest man
very good looking
one had ever seen. And he was a couple of years younger than I was. He was a classics PhD from Princeton, Lou's old alma mater. And he had a postdoc at Johns Hopkins, and he led he had a much more robust romantic life than I did. And Tom was sick, he was in on the ground floor of the AIDS epidemic.
Yeah.
And there's a really handsome picture of him in that book that I took one day at breakfast. And I look at that picture, and it's hard to believe that 15 months later he would be dead. Mm-hmm. He died in 1984. He was 31 years old. There was nothing they could do for you. And I had a lot of grief, but I also I became very close to his mother. I became close to his family. Right. For years, we went to Thanksgiving at his mother's house. Yeah. And but what it did was it also left me with great fear. I mean, I had perfectly good reason to think, well, I'm going to get this too. And didn't happen that way. But one of the sort of plot lines in a way of those diaries is whether or not to get tested for this. Yeah. And I practiced very safe procedures, but I didn't get a test until 1990 because I was simply scared to. And then suddenly I was negative, as many people turned out to be, when they had every reason to think it would be otherwise. So it was... The diaries did bring it back to me. I'm talking too much, but David Remnick, who's been very good to me at the New Yorker over the years, David had those diaries on his desk for quite a while, and he was being pushed by two editors. They were excerpted in the New Yorker quite in advance of publication, and he was a little queasy about them, not the subject matter, but he said he wanted to know what did I think of writing a retrospective essay with, ample quotation from the diary, but looking back interpretively upon the time. And I didn't want to do it. And I resisted it. And believe me, I've written for the magazine for 30 years. It's very hard to say no to them when they want you to do something. But I said I didn't want to do that because I thought if the diaries had any value at all, it was the fact that I didn't know how it was going to turn out. And I didn't want to put an asterisk in and say, oh, and I would turn out to be fine years later.
And I think this is starting to travel into like literary stuff where I'll completely fail. But I think if you had done that, it would take away some of the realness of them. By trying to interpret it with 40 years perspective would take away some of the realness of it. Lou, we've got to be so respectful, Tom's time, but what have we not asked him that we should ask him?
Oh, nothing. I think we've talked about the good stuff. I just want to say, from personal knowing Tom and his partner Bill, one of the joys for me was seeing how they first met all those years ago, and seeing how that came to be. That was really sort of super fun for me. But that was just a personal note. But I also, sorry,
Bill. When Bill meets people who only know me, he said he always says something. Oh, I come in on page 297. And
I checked that. I think it might be a little bit later. I think Bill is flattering himself. It might be a little bit later. No, okay, David, you'll be happy to know I'm going to spare Tom 60 seconds more. I'm going to do it. I'm also going to retire that.
God.
Bill thing. Thank you. Yeah, going to retire it. But here's where we'll get you out with this. From in the very heart of it, this is early on. You've moved into your new apartment. You're so excited with the help of your Irish brother-in-law and 2 Salvadoran helpers. And you say, I'm pretty sure this is the quote, and there we were, 3 different kinds of immigrants, each dreaming the different phases of the same dream. Again, killer line. But what was your dream at the time, and do you think you've realized it?
I mean, I think I did. I think I was incredibly lucky in life, but I saw myself there as a kind of immigrant to New York, even though I'd grown up around it. Both my parents had been born in it, whatever. And my brother-in-law was an immigrant to the country. The Salvadoran fellows were probably undocumented, and they were just picking up work in my brother-in-law's truck, whatever. But I always thought of New York in particular as a place that, people came to from someplace else, either internal migration or national migration.
Yeah.
And I think that is the one of the saddest things about the current moment, that we have kind of lost faith in that. Last week, 2 weeks ago in New York, he was here for a week. I had met him, a man named Dr. Mohammed Asafi, an Afghan painter who'd stood up to the Taliban. I met him in Kabul in 2005 when I was in the Bush administration for a couple of years, and helped him, with a lot of help from others, get over here in the 2 years after the evacuation from Afghanistan in 2001. By 2003, we had all 8 members of his family here, including a new grandchild who's a birthright citizen because she was born here. And they're so thankful to everybody who helped them get over here, whatever. And at one of these events last week, I said, you have to understand that this is not a courtesy when I say this to you. We're thankful to you. I want to thank you for taking a chance on this. You're exactly the people this country needs. You have gumption. You're brave. They're devout Muslims who are absolutely respectful of everybody else's rights, and so forth. And that I think is the most revolting thing, although it has a lot of competition, about this whole era since the escalator.
Yeah, it all started on the damn escalator, didn't it?
And I always like to point out to people, the escalator was moving down. Always remember that. Yeah.
Swear to God, I try to stay away from escalators. Sometimes you can't, but I try. If I could take the stairs at the airport instead of the escalator, I try very much.
Yeah.
Okay, Thomas Mallon, it is an incredible honor to have you with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I so appreciate this. And thank you, Lou.
David, Lauren.
And David.
Thank you,
and
Lauren.
Everybody listening, go out, hopefully to your favorite independent bookstores, and get the very heart of it. Get a book of one's own. Get any of Thomas's books. They are fantastic. We're off for a few weeks in August, but we're going to have some wonderful reruns going. But in the meantime, thank you all very, very much.